depositories and the customers or investors. So they are actually dealing with the customer. They are helping to the customers in their day-to-day issues, their day-to-day problems, their day-to-day any type of requirement. The depository participant help them. So depository participant actually is engaged by the depositories, and there are some qualifications or eligibility criteria before appointed DP by the depositories. And moreover, that after selections of the depository participant, that SEBI should also issue a certificate or gives their consent or approval to work depository participant as a depository participant in the real life situations. So friends, the depository participant is like a middleman, it's like a agent, it's like a intermediaries between the depository and the customer or investors. And their engagement is dealt with that agreement with the depositories. Friends, now the questions may come that who will be the depositories? Who will be the depository participant? They worked on behalf of the depository. So there are different entities. Just for example, public financial institution. Just for example, scheduled commercial bank and the foreign bank. Just for example, the state financial corporation, custodian, stockbrokers, clearinghouse, non-banking financial company, and the registered to an issuer. They are they can approach to the depositories to act as a depository participant. Now question is that what type of service covered? What type of service provided by the depository through depository participant? Friends, there are various type of service which is provided by the depositories. Just for example, that opening of the demat account. Friends, you may aware that when we purchase any securities in the market, either it's through primary capital market through IPO or secondary capital market, we should have our demat account. We should have our trading account. We should have our bank account. So the point here is that this demat account is opened by the depositories through the depository participant. Next point is that they are helping the dematerializations, electronic transfer. Friends, the physical certificate is to be converted in electronic mode is called that dematerializations. And also rematerialization. Sometimes they can also convert that electronic certificate into a physical certificate called the rematerializations. Apart from that services, they help that trade settlement, they help the transfer of shares, they help the market transfer, distributions of the non-cash corporate actions. Just for example, that company declared the dividend right issues. So depositories is helping on behalf of that issuers to all the investor, all the customers. Nominations and transmission. So anytime that investor can nominate, so that depository participant will help on behalf of the depository. Apart from that, account opening, account statement, and also very important part is that the changes. Sometimes we change our address, sometimes we update our email, sometimes we update our mobile numbers. So all these services is provided by the depository participant through depository. So this depository participant is providing all services on behalf of the depository. Friends, now I am moving to the different aspect of what depository, how many depositories in India. In 1996 so far, there are two depository, they work in India, that NSDL, National Security Depository Limited, and that CDSL, that Central Depository Service Limited. So these are the two entities. They are providing various type of depository services to the citizens of 140 crore population of this country. So friends, that out of the two, NSDL is the old one. NSDL is incorporated in 1996, and later on the CDSL came in India in 1999. So friends, like that depository participant, they are the middleman, they are the intermediaries. Again, we can say that depositories also they act as a mediator between the exchanges, mediator between that clearinghouse, DP, issuer companies and investors. So they are also mediator. They are also working and coordinating all of this participant. Friends, there are some important point or important concept of depository participant. The person can't directly approach to the depository. If they open a demat account, they can approach to the DP only, depository participant only. And DP is a business partner. DP is the business partner of the systems, and that investor need to open that depository account with DP to avail the depository services. And DP act as a mediator. We have already mentioned about it. NSDL and CDSL have added certain eligibility criteria. Okay, when they engage the DP, they can add that additional eligibility criteria. After that, when they select any DP, they can take that approval of the SEBI, the regulator of the capital market. There is also that no restriction of the number of that account opening of DP. So that any investors, they can open numbers of demat accounts. There is no that only one account is everybody have to open, but there any investor, they can open that multiple demat account. So the question is that who is eligible to open that demat account? So that resident individual as well as that NRI, they are also eligible to open that demat account. But the point is that in case of the NRI, they have to be follow that additional formalities as per the FEMA regulations. So their investment, their trading in equity market may be on reputation and non-reputation basis, and their bank account may be that NRE and NRO account. So in that circumstances, that NRI, they take that additional procedure, additional formalities. So with the FEMA regulation, they have to follow. So the friends, the depository participant can be effectively functioning only after the registrations of the SEBI, and they need that consent of the SEBI. After that, they can start their operations. Friends, we can discuss about the comparisons between the two depositories, that is called that NSDL and CDSL. So, so far there are two depository services is there, and in terms of that old things, that NSDL is the older one because they started their operations in 1996, and the CDSL started their operations in 1999. And in terms of the business services, in terms of the business coverage, we can say that more or less that equal opportunities, they're providing the same type of services in terms of equity, in terms of debenture, bond, exchange traded fund, mutual fund, etc., etc. But in terms of operative market, their segment, that is the difference, because that NSDL is working on National Stock Exchange and CDSL is working on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So another difference is that account number, when he talked about that NSDL, their account number is actually start with IN and then the next 14 numeric digit. And in case of, we can talk about that CDSL, so it start about 16 numeric digit. And the another difference is that in terms of the their accounts, investor accounts, so NSDL, their accounts is 2.5 crores as on the figure as on December 2021. And in terms of the CDSL, their investor account is 5.55 crores. So and their DP is 599. So in terms of that NSDL and CDSL, so the business or the number of account in CDSL is doing, and CDSL is presently that listed entities. And in the DP service center, we can talk about that in case of the NSDL, their number is 36,000. In case of that CDSL, their number is 21,000. So friends, we can talk about that any DP can hold that agency of both. They can work, some DP can work for the both for NSDL as well as CDSL. Some of the DP can work for exclusively either NSDL or CDSL. So the next point we can discuss that there are various organizations, they worked as a DP. Just for example, we can give some of the example: ICICI Direct. We can example that Sericon. We can give the example of that HDFC Securities, 5 Paise. So there are different depository participants. They are helping to the investors, all the investors in India, and they are the contract point. Whenever the investor have any issues in terms of their statement, in terms of their nomination, anything, they directly contact to the depository participant. They can't directly contact to the depositories. So friends, the contract point in the hands of the investor is the depository participant. So friends, if we compare that there are two CDSL and NSDL, that which one is good for the customers? So this is very difficult because we can't identify that, because the both that depository provide the same services, same type of services. There is no things, but the point is that the customer have a preference. They can go for that NSDL, they can go for the CDSL, but the primarily I can just suggest that that charges. That charges is the factors that customer before opening a Demat account, they have to consider the what are the charges for NSDL, what are the charges for CDSL. So friend, what type of charges? What type of charges they covered? So we can say that Demat account opening charges. We can say that annual maintenance charges. We can say that debit transaction also. Pledging of securities, it's also they are providing. Depository is helping. Dematerializations charges, rematerializations charges, any modifications, just for example that your address change, your email IDs updations, your phone number updations, your any other issues they update. So in that circumstances they also put some charges. Delivery instruction slip charges, account statement charges. So these are the point. I captured some of the point that that their charges is on the consideration of that of the following services. Friends, we are moving to that the difference between rematerializations and the dematerializations. So friends, it is very clear. We have already discussed that dematerializations is referred to the converting that physical certificate into the electronic certificate, and that rematerializations is also that converting of your electronic certificate to the physical certificate. And that share in terms of that the dematerialization, there is no distinctive number, there is no certificate number, there is no folio number, okay, in case of the dematerialization. But when we rematerialize it, then that all these things will comes. There is a distinctive number, there is a folio number, there is a certificate number, and the dematerialization is the paperless account or paperless form of trading, and the rematerialization is the actually paper-based trading. So friends, there is a process for converting the how that physical certificate is to be converted in dematerialization, dematerialized. So the investors opened an account with DP and the file the request that is called DRF, and investor lost the DRF and certificate with DP, and the DP intimate the depositories. Depositories intimate the registered and the issuer of the company, and the DP sent certificate and DRF to register and issuer, and the register and issuer confirm the demat to depositories, and that depositories credit the investor's account. So friends, there is a process. That process is to be followed. And the similarly also in case of that rematerialization also there is a different the process you have to follow. But the point here is that I have to just conclude by saying